Hi guys, and welcome to your half-term homework, which is on the eyewitness testimony topic area. Obviously, I have said on your instruction sheet that this is quite a large area that we're giving you kind of responsibility over. We're not expecting you to do this all in one go, so please don't feel like you've got to do that. Also, please just remember that this information probably won't be covered in your lesson until maybe the end of the first week back after half term. Your teacher will have given you details of when this actually needs to be completed for, because some teachers obviously are a little bit further in front than others. So like I said, please don't worry, you don't have to do it all at once. I'll tell you kind of like when to take breaks and where to kind of chunk off your learning. So first thing that you need to do for me, please, is you need to get in front of you your eyewitness testimony or your memory booklet and open it up to the eyewitness testimony section. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do with you is just play you a little video clip which includes this lady here, Elizabeth Loftus, who's probably one of the main figures in this area of research, just talking about what an eyewitness testimony is and kind of some of the problems with it. So this wouldn't be on your examination as such, but it's good that you have a kind of like a general understanding of what an eyewitness testimony is. Okay.
Welcome to the MCAT Multimedia Series, a MCAT analysis of Elizabeth F. Loftus's eyewitness testimony. Can we really rely on our memories to give us a true account of past events? Elizabeth Loftus, an American cognitive psychologist and an expert on human memory, has conducted and compiled extensive research questioning the malleability of memory. Her 1974 book, Eyewitness Testimony, examined the value of eyewitness testimonies in the legal judicial system and set out the psychological case to disprove their reliability. Loftus presented psychological literature on human memory to demonstrate that people's memories of specific events are often fallible. Loftus thought this was a particular problem in America because the U.S. public, and therefore American juries, valued eyewitness testimonies more than nearly all other forms of evidence. Loftus explains that there are three components to human memory: acquisition, the initial sourcing and developing of a memory; retention, the storing of the memory; and retrieval, recalling, remembering, and expressing the memory. To see these three components in action, let's look at a real eyewitness scenario. Imagine you're the observer of a car crash. You see the cars approaching at an intersection, hear the honking of horns and the screeching of tires. You've entered the acquisition stage of memory and can be influenced by many factors. For instance, you're more likely to be focused on the two cars that are about to crash, rather than taking note of what color the traffic lights are. Or you might be distracted by thoughts of your own safety. Are you in imminent danger of being hit? If so, can you get out of the way in time? Now, how do you retain this memory? Our minds are not perfect. All new events and thoughts serve as interference with our memories. As time passes, retention errors start to occur, and details of the accident will decay. They'll either be lost or altered. When it comes to retrieving your memory, it may be prompted by having to give a statement to a police officer or attorney. You may be affected by several biases. For instance, if you are asked if you saw one driver using their phone, you're more likely to believe you did, even if you didn't actually see this information. This is an example of a leading question, and Loftus believed it was a primary source of errors at the retrieval stage. The work of Elizabeth Loftus has demonstrated how human memories are prone to error or bias, and her research has influenced many American legal cases. A more detailed examination of her ideas can be found in the MCAT analysis.
Okay. So that really gives us a kind of like a good introduction to the work of Elizabeth Loftus, and this idea that memory is fallible, memory is malleable. It means it can change and it can be manipulated over time. So therefore, in terms of an eyewitness testimony, they're not very useful to us anymore within the legal system. So what is an eyewitness testimony? So it's a legal term referring to the use of an eyewitness to give evidence in a court, and maybe being asked to identify somebody who has committed a crime. Now, as we've just seen from that short introduction, eyewitness testimony these days is considered to be the least trustworthy type of evidence used in court. Most people don't realise that though, okay? Most people think that their memory is like a video camera and that it switches on and that it records all those details for us, and when we hit play, it recalls it exactly as it happened. That is simply not the case. If a person claims to have witnessed a crime, then people, and this sometimes includes the police and the juries too, assume that those details have been reported must be true. We know from the work of Elizabeth Loftus and others that that is simply, as I've already said, not the case. In a legal court now, you would not be able to simply use an eyewitness testimony to rely on. There are other sources of evidence nowadays that are much more reliable, that can't be distorted. For example, forensic information, so biological information, and also heavy use of CCTV these days would provide a more accurate eyewitness testimony. So, as you can see on this next little slide, okay, as a result of the research that you are about to look at from Elizabeth Loftus and others, we are no longer allowed to gain a conviction based on one single eyewitness testimony. Throughout legal history, there are many examples of individuals who have been wrongly convicted and wrongly imprisoned based on an eyewitness account. So therefore, we know from that point forward that eyewitness testimony memory is fragile and it has been distorted. So there must be a corroborating story from some other form of evidence, like I've just said to you these days, usually forensic, usually biological, or some sort of CCTV. So that provides us then with an introduction as to what an eyewitness testimony actually is. What you're going to do over the course of this topic area is look at specific reasons why an eyewitness account might not be accurate, okay? So that information is on the next little video link entitled Effect of Misleading Information on the Accuracy of Eyewitness Testimony.